Oh my God, it's Sunny Days! Sunny Days has returned!
SHW. This is our wrestling.
This is insane.
You think you could walk all over me, but I don't see that happening. We're warriors.
Are you kidding me right now? David Ali is your new Southern Honor Champion. Unbelievable. Spear to Hanson. But look, he never dropped his spear. Ooh.
You get a moonsault, and you get a moonsault, and you get a moonsault.
This crowd is going ballistic.
And now, the voices of Southern Honor Wrestling, Brandon Benefield and Gerard Bonner.
What is going on, everybody? This is SHW. This is our wrestling, the official podcast of Southern Honor Wrestling. I'm B-Double, Brandon Benefield, GB Gerard Bonner, and Diana Michelle. And guys, I got to tell you real quick, I know it's been a week, but every single day I'm still singing Sweet Caroline.
My God.
Man, oh my
I
God.
was singing it at work just today, a week later, just today, and my coworker's like, "Why are you singing that?" And I had to tell her the whole story, and I pulled up the pictures, and she was like, "Wow, that looked like a lot of fun." I was like, "You have no idea of the night we had. It was amazing."
Yeah.
God.
It was crazy. It was really crazy. Holy
It
cow.
really was.
If you don't know what we're talking about, then you clearly were not at SHW 24 last Friday. I'm not sure yet if it's out on IWTV, but
It
if
might
it's
be
not,
by now.
it might be by now. If it's not, it will be very soon. But I know the pictures came out from Wrestling Snapshots earlier this week, and they turned out amazing. And you saw a lot of these in a lot of the pictures.
Yes.
By the way, this is the All-Star Special made up of William Huckabee and Hold My Beer Hansen, who for the first time
those in 30 minutes.
Yeah, so they brought a bunch of them, sold them out the very first night, and they're already
like 50 shirts, and they were gone in a half hour.
They're taking pre-orders again. So if you want one, hit up Huck or Hanson on Facebook and let them know you want to pre-order an All-Star Special shirt. Which, by the way, they were a lot of fun. They put on a great match against Exotic Youth, and these guys. So to clear up what we're talking about, their entrance music was Sweet Caroline of all songs. And I thought it was the craziest thing.
I thought that would have worked so well.
It was so crazy. But then they came out at GB, like that crowd. Like, talk about that crowd. Just
first of all, SHW 24 was a crazy night.
Right.
From start to finish. It was a crazy night.
A little bit.
And so, I just sit back and I'm saying, I'm watching these guys and the place went crazy.
Nuts.
I mean, people were on their feet singing at the top of their lungs. Huck is standing on the second rope directing people like he's a choir director. I mean, like it was, and singing his heart out, right? So I sat back and I had three observations. Observation number one is nobody on planet Earth at the start of 2020 would have ever said that, hey, by the time we get to 2021, the most popular people in the promotion would be a guy who hacked his way onto our podcast and another guy who was the most hated guy in the promotion.
Right.
You would have, and as a tag team, no less. Crazy. And then if that didn't prove enough, there's the flyer for SHW 25, which I got to tell you, the wrestling world, it's not just us. The wrestling world is talking about this flyer.
It's talking. Yeah, what is it, like Reddit? It's on Reddit or something?
It's on Reddit.
It's all over.
Everywhere. It is everywhere. I mean, and I just,
I thought Huck would be standing there holding a waffle looking mean, like he's about to devour that waffle, right?
And it's even like, you remember when Kurt Angle, they used to tell him, you suck, and that was horrible, and then it turned into a term of endearment.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Waffle House was not a term of endearment for him.
No,
and now Huck, it is just, it's a thing. So there's that. There's two other things I have to say. Number one, during the pre-show, Hold My Beer Hansen called me out and said that I was not following his public page And he was wrong because I was.
Oh, all right.
I was. And here's how I know I was. Because I went back to check and click the follow button, and I was already following. And I'd already left. So
maybe you
there's
haven't
that.
commented or liked anything, so he didn't.
I must not have. It must not. He must be used to me giving him a hard time here on the podcast. That's what it is.
Probably.
The third thing, and I cannot believe I'm going to admit this publicly, but I am. I actually bought an All-Star Special shirt.
Did you?
Jump on the train, GB. There's
Listen,
plenty of room. Jump on.
After SHW 24, and then the fly, and I was just like, I can't escape this. This is amazing. It's great. I saw the T-shirts. I was like, okay. So my T-shirt, I imagine I'll have by SHW 25.
Yes.
And I too am part of the All-Star Special.
I just wanted to get back in the ring and dance with them because that just looked like a party.
It
Oh
was
my
a party.
God.
It was a party.
I was down on the floor kind of, swaying with the rhythm and singing the little bump. Oh my gosh.
And let's just say, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if we ever get into, and I know it's early, right? We still have a lot of year left, but already this is it's the feel good moment of the year. I think.
Right.
I think absolutely, it's the feel good moment of the year. That entrance, I've not seen anything like it.
And what I was gonna say,
that song just starts kind of slow and long, and it's just like, is this really? But then it just worked.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I thought we were being pranked for a second. I was like, this can't be the real song, is it?
You did say that.
It's like, this is ridiculous. But then it was great because the entire action building was just rocking. Man. But I was going to say, it was the perfect time for that to happen because
it was
early in the show, things took a turn for the worse. Things got real dark, real quick. And
SHW
I don't want to
dark.
SHW dark. And I don't want to get too much into it. You'll see it when you see it on IWTV. But when that moment finally came about, it was just like, oh, finally, lighten the mood.
Right? It was like a weight lifted off your shoulders, Steve.
It really was.
Just kind of, now I can get back to being.
Let me just say, it's no secret at this point. It was on the reports. You saw a bunch of fans posting pictures. The legendary voice of wrestling, of my childhood watching wrestling, was in the action building. Tony, look at you see Diana's shirt. She's a Tony Schiavone girl.
I'm a Tony Schiavone girl, man.
He was in the action building last Friday for SHW 24. He actually came up and introduced himself to myself and Gerard literally like 2 minutes before the show started.
Like he needs an introduction.
And so we were so like blown away, like we couldn't believe it. And so we started on that high note, and then a match into the show, we immediately went downhill and hit the lowest note ever. And again, I'm not going to get too much into it. You can watch it for yourself. And then finally we had Sweet Caroline.
But you know what, though? As I think about it, the irony of it is it was the February show last year where we hit the highest of highs and lowest of lows. We had we had Ashton Starr win the championship, and I probably hadn't been any happier at SHW.
Yeah.
And then like 15 minutes later, he loses the title, and we are completely dejected.
Yep.
And we're like, okay. And then, the Lynch brothers win the tag titles to end the night. It was
roller coaster.
Roller coaster. So
that's how Friday was, roller coaster.
That is exactly how Friday was. So I'm very intrigued. For those of you who were not in the action building,
you missed it.
You watch this.
You missed it.
You can
watch it on IWTV, but it's just not the same as
my gosh.
Live. If you
God.
were not there last Friday, or
yeah, it was last Friday. It was yeah.
Then you need to be there next month because there's just nothing like it. There's nothing like experiencing Southern Honor Wrestling live.
Absolutely.
And I'll say this one thing, and then I know we've got an interview to get into and things, but this is why you don't miss a show, right? It's why you don't miss a show, because anything can happen. Anybody can show up. We keep saying that, but it's true. Like if you would have imagined that Tony Schiavone would have been in the house, you would have lost it, right?
I still get butterflies thinking that he was actually there.
I just can't believe it. So, the other thing is, if you can't be there, like, I'm sorry, but that's what we have IWTV for. And so you're not completely left out. You can see us again, independentwrestling.tv. SHW is the promo code. Your first 5 days are free. And I promise you, even if you were in the action building, you want to go back and watch it on IWTV
I
because
do.
you get to hear the commentary, and it adds a lot to what we see. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
we've had some really fun moments in terms of calls that we've had. And
Yeah.
I know this, even when I go to events, I always go back and watch them on TV so I can
Mhm.
hear what was going on. So make sure you
Right.
do that. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. And again, like you said, we don't want to get too much into it because you can go back and watch it for yourself on IWTV. But a lot of big returns, a lot of big moments, a roller coaster of emotions
What a night.
for me personally,
For all of
for
us.
GB personally, for Diana personally,
Ooh,
and
rises some kind of weird, a lot of weirdness.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
anyways.
speaking of weirdness,
Right.
So one of the special guests that we've never had before on a show at SHW was Sin Bodhi, the Warlord of Weird. He came in, and we still weren't totally sure. We kind of felt like maybe Ravenna and Sonny must have brought him in to try to take care of Austin Towers, and so he had a big match against Austin Towers. He put him to the limit. He didn't quite get the victory, but he still put on a heck of a
He
match. And
lived
then, of
up to
course,
that name. He lived up to Warlord of Weird for sure.
and we certainly didn't forget that.
not
Oh,
at
and
all.
I will never forget that.
He made an
Never.
indelible
And
impression.
Yeah,
yes.
V3.
that's right. Yeah, we got an up close and personal experience
Yes.
with Sin Bodhi, but we're about to get a great interview with Sin Bodhi right here on the podcast. So here he is, the Warlord of Weird. Take a look. All right, everybody. Like we said, we got a special guest here tonight. It's the Warlord of Weird, the gentleman who smeared his beard paint all over my forehead and all over Diana's forehead the other night at SHW 24. It's Sin Bodhi. Sir, how are you?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me, and thank you for allowing me to use your forehead as my own personal sham wow to get a jump start on getting my clown paint off before I headed out of Dodge and off to the next state.
And thank you for sparing me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. And thank you, darling, also for that was you who I also rubbed my clown paint on.
Yeah, I was totally not expecting that at all. I
Well,
thought you
you're
was gonna like fake lick my face or something. I did not expect that. Thank you.
well.
Let me just tell you, and after that happened, I looked at Gerard because I didn't know what was about to happen. And I told GB, I said, I didn't know if he was about to kiss me or lick me or what was going to happen because he just grabbed my head and kind of, I didn't know what was about to happen. But
I'll tell you right now, I didn't know either. I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants, and I just kind of, life takes me where life takes me, and I just felt myself rubbing my face on your face, and that's just how life was that night.
I just had no idea we were gonna have that connection now moving forward. So
Oh yeah.
Me too, neither. I think in some cultures, I think we're married now, just so you know.
Something. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you
there you go. Well, then that means you will definitely have to come back to SHW sometime, hopefully in the near future.
Oh man, does this mean that you get half? Jeez, I can't.
No,
no,
it's
it's
hard because I'm
There's a-
officially married too, apparently. So.
Right.
Yeah, well, there you go.
A half of a third or what?
I already got my wife, so I would always joke that I'm afraid of no man or beast, but my little 5-foot wife, she scares the crap out of me. So
Yeah.
There you go.
Fair enough.
yeah, she's the chicken hawk to my foghorn leghorn. So
Oh, I say.
she's like, yeah, leave him alone. Yeah, leave him alone. He's a whatever.
I love that. I love it. Well, since you're talking a little family here, you had your dog with you earlier. Can you tell us the story real quick of your dog's name?
Yes. So Mochi, before we even got on air, she was like, "All right, enough of this. I'm gonna go lay down by her. She's got a nice little bed here in my toy shop. That's what's behind you. So if it looks like I'm in some weird, I don't know, hobo area, I'm just in my diabolical toy shop where I feel like the kid from the bad guy kid from the Toy Story show that's just destroying all those toys. So I make while I'm not wrestling due to all the COVID restrictions, I'm not wrestling as much as I did until 9 months ago. I'm sure as is all the wrestlers. So just to sort of subsidize my income, and I want to put food in my family's on the table, and put a roof over our head. So not that this is making a little dent in it, but I refurbished those old school wrestling toys like from when I was a kid. Those rubber wrestlers that are actually make a really good foreign object in the ring. Now that I think about it, because those things are like solid rubber. Like you could pistol whip a mofo with an old hillbilly Jim or a Captain Lou or a Kamala, and boy, oh boy, that wouldn't feel nice, you know. And so anyway, so me and Mochi, my dog, are here, and her, just like every critter in this house, is a rescue. And she came from such a horrific situation. I can't even describe. It just made me angry just thinking about it, talking about it. But to answer your question, her name is Mochi, and we arrived at. I was telling you before we got on air that me and my little girl, she's 12 years old. We're about at the same maturity level, so we're having this intense name negotiation. And so what she ended up being called in her paperwork is Mochi Marie John Cena Galactus Pizza Pants. So ta-da.
I love it.
Yeah, that's so she is a. We don't know exactly for sure. My wife's stepdaughter works at the vets where we rescued Mochi, and they kind of seem to think she was a pit wawa, which sounds as weird as that's. I know that sounds bizarre. That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, what do you mean a pit wawa? You know, like I remember seeing those T-shirts of like a half pit, half Chihuahua, half Great Dane, where it was just like this little Chihuahua lying on this giant penis. You know, so I just remember thinking, okay, is that what this is? Like, what's going on here? You know, the dog on the T-shirt obviously had a Chihuahua body and a Great Dane penis, for if anybody doesn't get that joke. And I literally got it. A T-shirt, which made me giggle to no end.
Oh my god!
So she is a she, so I guess she doesn't have to worry about that unless she was to decide to gender change or something.
Right.
But in the meantime, so she is like this. And when we got her, I mean, she could fit like in one of my hands. Like she was so little. And not to get into, I'll by this really quick. Again, I'd like to keep this fun, not morbid, but some a-hole, I don't know if I can swear on this show or not, but at 3 weeks old, threw her against the wall because she wouldn't be quiet, I guess, and put her in a coma. So my wife's stepdaughter, was a wonderful young lady, raised this dog out of a coma, and at about 6 weeks, we adopted her, and she was literally this big. And now, and we're told she was a pit wawa, so I'm like, what could that possibly mean? And so she is now, I want to say 500 pounds stuffed into about a 35-pound bag. Like she is jacked. She's like a road warrior, you know, mixed with a little fluffy little like toy dog, you know. She is just completely jacked, and she is super sweet, but with the head trauma that she had endured, she kind of goes from zero to hero really quick. So her medulla oblongata is no bueno. So she's super sweet until she's not. Like just anything can rile her up. Maybe kind of like me in the ring, not so much in real life.
Right.
But in the ring, I'm sort of on the happy side of crazy until I'm on the angry side of crazy. So I think Mochi is kind of in that ballpark. And I'm glad she is just a tiny little harmless dog. If she was real dog size, we'd all be in trouble.
Wow.
I feel like she gets a lot of traits from you, apparently, because you told us before we started that she likes to rub her face on people's faces, much like you did to us. So, yeah.
Well, you know, like some dogs, they have their different, like, you know, their I don't know what the right word is, but almost like nostalgia from how their mother kind of treated them, groomed them, whatever. Well, this dog, I mean, God knows what she went through before the slam dunk into the wall for the first 3 weeks of her life. Like, who takes the dog even away from the mom at 3 weeks? Right. And then when she was rescued, like they basically said, look, you're surrendering this dog, we'll call the cops. So the guy got out of there. And then the 3 weeks that it took for Kira, my wife's stepdaughter, I don't know exactly what that makes her to me, my weirdly daughter somehow. But she raised her, but I mean, she's like living in a kennel for the first, you know, leg of her life. Mm-hmm. So she didn't really know how to be affectionate. She wasn't really sure. So I'm super patient with humans, but animals all day. So, yeah. I mean, I spent so much time with this dog, and Karen, my wife, is aproposly named, by the way. Her name should be Karen these days. She's the angriest, loving person you will ever meet, ever. Again, she is the chicken hawk to my foghorn leghorn. And so we raised her up, and so her weird way is just she kind of rubs her head on you, like when she's being nice, and she's like, am I being cool? We're cool. And she kind of looks at you always like, walk by her. She's just like, do I need to kill you, or should I be cool to you? Like, you never know. And she has this funny look on her face, and you could tell it a mile away. You can see, is she giving you the Bambi blink blink eyes, wanting something, or I'll kill you. You know, she's got one of those two looks on her face at any given time. We have to figure out what she
Sounds
needs.
perfect.
Yeah, she's the funniest little thing, and she's so sweet. We call her One Touch Moach because only one of us can hold her at a time. She is so protective. So like if I'm holding her and my wife walks over, she'll be like, oh, you know, like, get away. And then, but if she's holding her, she'll do the same thing to me. And God forbid the kid is holding her. If Pi is holding her, then nobody can go near her. She's like, yeah, like my inner voice is very like, she's got like this Bugs Bunny inner voice, like, leave me alone. You know, I'm sitting on this chair with my kid. You know, leave me alone or I'll get you, see? You know, and so she just got that look on her face. But yeah, so there you go. I know this has nothing to do with wrestling. So.
No, this
that's
is
great.
It's great. We love to get guests on here and just kind of like break the fourth wall a little bit and kind of get a little backstory, a little bit of real life, you know, and just find out about folks. So, but yeah, I mean,
well, I think in real life, you know, like, you know, people have historically, they have, will, are, and are going to continue to be really crappy to each other. And I think animals are the truest of baby faces, to use wrestling jargon. Like, they're the innocent ones. They're the sweet ones. They're the ones that mean well and are trying to prevail in a land that, you know, is way above their pay grade. They have no choices in anything.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think as any kind of halfway decent human, just be cool to your critters. That's where I'm at. Humans, you must be sheep. Go ahead, fine, whatever. But animals, that's not cool. There you go.
Well, there you go. GB.
I don't mind rubbing my clown paint on strange earthlings, but I would always be sweet to. I'll always cuddle with dogs.
Well, I took it as kind of a cuddle thing. I took it as kind of an affectionate thing. So,
like acceptance. Like, I'm gonna be cool now that he wiped his face all over me.
I literally, it's like, you know, my critters here. Like, I rubbed my scent on you guys, so you guys, I claimed you. You belong to me now.
Yes, you did.
And I belong to you apparently as well. It's a two-way street. Another funny critter we have here, who is my little, like, she's the gateway to my good mood. She is this little one-eyed, cute little cat that we rescued. She got like hit by a car, and she has a one eye and a kind of little snaggly tooth because her jaw got all mangled. And again, in deep name negotiations with my kid and my wife, I wanted to name one of our other rescue dogs Mr. Fuji. He was a him, and that just didn't work out. Didn't work out in my favor. So when we rescued this cat, my wife was like, what do you want to call her? I said, Mr. Fuji. So Mr. Fuji, she always does that backup wiggle where she looks like she's kind of spraying you, but she can't spray, I guess. Wow. So I think she's trying to claim me every time I walk into the room. She's like, he belongs to me, and that's that. So I kind of feel like that as well in the ring. If I'm wiggling back and forth, I'm trying to put my scent on you and claim you, and you belong to me.
I love that.
That's awesome.
I love that. So I'm curious because, I mean, your past and your present, quite frankly, is very storied, to say the least. So, you know, we're talking about claiming animals and the like. Man, how did you claim the sport of pro wrestling? How did that happen for you?
Oh boy. Okay. So short story long, or however you want to look at it. I was the shyest, most introverted little kid ever, just scared of my own shadow. Spent a lot of time by myself as a really young kid because my parents raised me on this kind of little out of town, kind of little farmhouse, ranch house kind of thing, where 100 years ago when I was a kid, you know, there was no internet, there was no cell phones, there was no smartphones or whatever. And for me to even hang out after school, like the closest kid from my house would be, you know, miles away because we're just in the middle of the sticks, just outside of the town that I kind of like went to school in and all that. So like I grew up with Edge and Christian, but when those guys who lived in town and other kids would get to play after school every day, I had to go home, or I would go a little bit later than that, I would go to like karate class, and then I would go home with my mom, unless to hang out with any kids would be like I have to get this special note to get off of this bus to go to here to do this, or my mom would have to pick me up because she taught by day, and then she had this like a dojo at nighttime. Like, so my family's weird. Like we have like this, like my dad was like a ranked fighter when I was a kid. And it's kind of like Forrest Gump, where he was like literally like a ping pong champion, a gymnast. He was a soccer champion. He was a ranked fighter. So he just did all these ridiculous things.
Wow. And
he was always on the road. He was a salesman. So it was very hard for my mom to, you know, cart me back and forth to go hang out with my buddies. So if I was lucky, once a week, I could go for a few hours and play somewhere at a friend's house. So I just spent so much time by myself. So I would have my face in a comic book, or I'd be doodling in a little drawing pad or something, or I'd watch wrestling.
Okay.
And I didn't have cable, so I don't know if you even know what a laser disc is, but like back in
Like
the
the
day,
size of an album.
yeah. So like, it's not those giant looking CDs. It was literally looked like. Again, there's the motion. Barking at birds or something. There's little mockingbirds outside that legitimately mock her, and she's like, "I'm not taking it." This is what'll happen if I get you. And she grabs her little squishy cell phone or a little squishy carrot or whatever she's got. This is what's gonna happen, you know. But anyway, so yeah, those laser discs were like these. It almost looked like an actual album cover. Like the picture of the movie would be like right on top of it. And you just slide this whole thing into this box. It was kind of like pre VHS and beta and all that stuff. And I don't even know if you guys even know what that is. You're like, what is?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So my dad had this bright idea of when the laser discs, that was so short lived. Like they were there and they were gone before they came. And so he had this bright idea of knowing that they're going out of, I guess what's the right word I'm looking for? Like they were becoming extinct. Like they were going to start going into VHS and all that stuff. So he bought this stack of laser discs, and he bought this crappy old laser disc machine. So I had like these 10 movies to like watch 100,000 times each, or watch, you know, the odd grainy cartoon on a no cable TV, or again, the only thing I could watch was wrestling, or read a comic book. And so that's where my brain was. And again, I was such a shy, scared little kid that I just was so enamored with all these powerful, brave characters, both in the ring or in the pages of a comic book. And I just thought, man, that's what I want to be when I grow up. I don't want to be scared, you know. And my dad was like this big, tough fighter who was really sweet. Like my mom was very militant, like very sweet, but she was the boss. She was like the mature one, the responsible one, where my dad was the affectionate one. And every day, and I find myself saying this to my own kid now, where like my dad would say, my real name is Nicholas, Nick, but they would always call me Nicholas when I did something bad, which is pretty often. So it was usually Nicholas. Nicholas, did you give your mother a hug and a kiss today? Nicholas, did you tell your mother she looks nice today? Nicholas, did you, that kind of stuff. And, he would hug and kiss me, and he would go, hey, go give your mom a kiss, go see if she needs something. And so I kind of do that now to the kid. And I'm just like, holy crap, I'm turning into my dad. What's happening? And so he was so strong and just brave and tough, and he wasn't scared of anything. And a lot of people really didn't like him because he almost missed his calling as a wrestling manager, because he just had that funny wit about him there. You either got him or you didn't get him. And as a shy kid, I was always so embarrassed, and that's such a regret, because he was just a confident guy, And I just remember, they kind of pushed me into taking karate, and like weirdly, this is how old I am. So I'm 22 years into pro wrestling, but I'm 38 years into martial arts. I started in grade 4, so you can do the math. Zsa Zsa Gabor, I'm going to tell you exactly how old I am. But there's a Wikipedia clip, and then you would know. So but it was the best thing for me, because it taught me empathy and kindness and patience and confidence. So many people are so shy and scared. Like even when you see wrestling fans, grown ass adults, and you go to shake their hand, and their knees are knocking. And they're scared, or you just meet people I walked into a Waffle House right before we did the show before I met you guys. Yeah. A couple people were like, oh, good. I'm like, hey, how you doing? And they're like, like they were just super sweet, but shy and everything. And I just thought, as a kid, it really drove me nuts. And I just, like a smoker would quit cold turkey or something, I just thought, I'm gonna put my fear down cold turkey, and I'm never gonna deal with that ever again. And that was just like a choice I did as a kid. Sorry, there's my first pop-up. Again, daily apology for being too old and stupid to know how to turn off my notifications. My bad. But yeah, it was just important to me to do that. And that comboed with, I remember having like a bully who was actually one of my best pals in public school. And he was like a tough kid, and I wasn't. I was just shy and quiet. And I remember I was just so scared. And I thought, I can't do that. I can't be like that. And I never wanted to fight him or hurt him. I just didn't want to ever be scared. Yeah. And so that was like the martial arts and just learning kind of like, and my dad never taught me, because, when you're a kid, you don't want to learn anything from your parents. Like, what do you know? Just because you have way more reps around, laps around the sun and reps in life. What do you freaking know? You're all
Right.
That's a kind of a circle of life albatross that everybody sort of goes through,
Yeah.
But I didn't want to learn from him, so I learned from like his buddies that were all different, like world champions, Canadian champions, American champions, European champions. So I never just learned at like the local family karate place. I always, a year with this champ, 2 years with this champ, a year in this style, 2 or 3 years in this style. So I picked up so much things, and it taught me to be confident. It taught me to be, I can fully defend myself. I would never in a million years pick a fight, but I'm thoroughly capable of ending a fight. And so that's just a nice, comfortable headspace to be, especially when you're traveling the planet. And I think weirdly, for many years, I think on the exterior has been just a fun force field to say, that's probably not a dude I want to mess around with. So I'm gonna try to take that guy's wallet or mess with that guy or this or that. So I've really probably avoided a lot of problems just on my exterior. So people just presume what they presume and think, that's not a good idea. And I wouldn't ever choose to hurt a fly, but I remember was scared of my own shadow as a kid. And I thought, what an awful way to feel. And I just said, nope, not doing that. And again, with martial arts and then kind of overcoming that bully, I'm glad I had that bully, because if I didn't have that bully to spur me into that headspace, maybe I would have grown up soft or entitled or just big. I don't know if I can cuss on here, and I don't want to say anything inappropriate, but the P word that ends with the Y word, like I don't want to grow up to be that, and I would much rather be just happy, and I think if you are always, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't have enough coffee today. Maybe I've had too much coffee. I never wanted to be, and all that Chihuahua syndrome or that false sense of whatever. Like, I like to be joking. I like to be playful. I want people to be comfortable around me. I want them to know that they can rely on me. That's where I feel like I'm useful to the planet. Like, that's why I think I was kind of put on the planet. So whether I'm coaching or whether I'm just traveling or whatever, like if younger wrestlers want to ask questions, like I want to be approachable. I want to be like, I don't want people to go, oh, if I say something wrong, is he going to get mad or whatever? I want people to go, oh, I could totally go up to Sid and ask him this or that, or I could, shoot shit with him. That's the kind of vibe I want to put out. And so there you go. So I'm done rambling for a second.
No, I love it. No, that's
great.
You're
good. You're good. I'm just curious. You talked about coaching and teaching. Like, when did you decide to kind of get into that space? As far as is it with Jake the Snake and who else do you coach with?
D'Lo Brown, Kenny King, Kiki Taro, sometimes Disco Inferno. And that's just at our gym here in Vegas. So me and Jake and D'Lo started the Snake Pit.
Yeah.
Quite a while ago, and then the big show in Vegas was the Future Stars of Wrestling, FSW. So we kind of pooled our resources, got into bed together, and kind of merged. So the show is FSW, and it's the Future Stars School that is basically affectionately known as the Snake Pit. Okay. And we've got other wonderful like in and out coaches, like TJP comes in, Dabari comes in, and then we always have, especially pre-pandemic, we had just lots of amazing seminar wrestlers. Again, sorry for the pop-ups.
No worries.
Hurricane, Al Snow, Gangrel, MVP, Matt Hardy, you name it, just tons of dudes. Jimmy Hart, Hacksaw, Jim Duggan, $1 Million Man, all these dudes would come in and drop some knowledge. And who hear my dog's freaking out. And so, but I never thought to be a coach. Like, I think I was kind of accidentally groomed to be a coach because my mom was a school teacher, and she was a teacher, again, back in sort of the archaic days of, the 60s, 70s, 80s, where she was always like teaching like the bad kids, or what people just, nowadays we have all these pockets we could put people, this person has HDAD and this person has this and this person is triggered by this and blah, blah, blah. Back in the day, they were just thought, bad kids. There was not a whole lot of labels for it. They simplified, didn't know any better. And my mom was kind of like this Mrs. Doubtfire, Mary Poppins, she could communicate with people.
Yeah.
I'm doing a podcast, Lovey. It's okay. What do you need? I think I gotta do something. I gotta be useful as a human. I'm trying to avoid those responsibilities. Hey, I'm on a podcast. Don't tell anybody. Yeah. So anyway, so I don't even know what the hell I was talking about. I think when you
Your
get dropped in your head for a living, you please refresh me. Where the heck were we going with
Your
what?
mom. Your
My
mom
mom.
being a teacher.
Thank you. So yeah, she could just really figure out these kids, and she could just communicate in such a great way. I swear she, got to me and my little brother's heads a million different times. She just so sneaky, we just never even knew she was doing it. And she would always explain to me, like, 20 different people might need to hear one piece of information 20 different ways. So just stuff like that, and always just instilling that whole, any idiot can destroy. It takes kindness and creativity to build and to hear each other and all that stuff. So I guess that was ingrained in my head even before like I ever set foot in a wrestling ring. So I think as I learned and I learned how to wrestle, and then I was out and about doing my thing. And then from the first moment I ever, wasn't so much as coaching, but I would help break in guys or whatever. Like, I don't say that I train Crazy Steve, but I help break him in, and I train him a little bit, like Angelina Love and Sean Spears.
He's
These guys.
really crazy.
Yeah, I didn't train them, but I helped break them in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so being patient and being kind, I think, is like something you kind of have to learn, and you can have those intentions, but you have to sort of be harnessed and shown how to do, certain things. So as a coach, I just kind of take, as much wrestling knowledge as I have, and I have silly news for everybody. There's no such thing as wrestling psychology. It's just psychology applied to wrestling. So when you learn, those basic human fundamentals, and you have any kind of decency in your heart, you can just sort of start thinking, okay, well, how does this person need to hear what I'm saying? And then more importantly, why are they saying what they're saying? Are they saying it because they're a jerk? Are they saying it because they just come from a different background, or they don't understand something? Are they offended by accident? Are they not offended? Like, or they don't mean it how I perceive it because I, take different words or different things. Now my little fluffs are out there arguing with each other. I have two other little tiny little fluffs, and they're like Statler and Waldorf or something. They're always arguing with each other, like two old men, but they're just two little fluffy little yeah, I think like if you're in the ring with me training, I'll be very artsy in how I explain stuff, but at the same time, I'll push you hard like a football coach, but I will give you the bedside manner of like a nursemaid. So I think there's a mix. When you take a contrasting thing, like I'm gonna give it to you hard, but I'm gonna explain it soft, if that makes any sense. And I'll tell you right now, as far as see exactly what she said right there. What she's saying is exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you're too mean to a student, especially these days, like when we came up, like I'm not a back in my day guy, but back in my day, it was hard. It was different. And not that I'm entitled to anything now or it's easier for a younger, I'm happier that it's a gentler, just life in general is just you have these speaking spells in your pocket that have the gateway to every bit of knowledge in the world. So there's just so much things about life that, again, and 100 years ago, they had it way more harder than I had. People out there plowing fields or, we're doing all this stuff and God knows, churning their own butter and whatever crazy caveman stuff they were doing. So I think every kind of stretch of generation has their own pros and cons and this and that. And I just think when I came up, like I learned from other coaches and learned especially from my mom that like, if you're too harsh, that info is just going to bounce off of people and they're going to bow up. They're just going to get defensive. So you have to kind of find a way, like I would have to tell one person, like, one of you, this information may be like this and the other were like this and the other like this, and not take offense to how you are receiving it, but realize like you're all coming at it from different angles, as am I. So like a silly example is I was coaching in Orlando and my dad just coincidentally, he's a snowbird, so he would come through, like I'm Canadian. So I live in Vegas, but I'm Canadian born. And so he's like, well, Nicholas, let's go for dinner after you're done coaching. And I said, okay. And I go, well, tell me what restaurant you want and I'll send you the GPS, or just tell me what it is and I'll type it in my GPS. he's like, no. You just take this road and you turn left at the first gas station. And I'm like, Pop, this isn't like the caveman days. If you just tell me what restaurant you want, I'll just type it into my little fancy speak and spell, and the little robot lady will tell me exactly how to get there. He's like, no. You just turn left at the gas station when you drive down the highway. Like, so his old school brain was just, I was perceiving his directions as archaic. He was perceiving what I was doing as some kind of new, modern, weird, fluffy Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and even to younger generations, like people that are, in their early 20s and stuff, listening to my, old fartness talking in the ring, I kind of realized, like, do I sound as silly to them as my dad sounds to me? Because he's right. It's just, but a different way of
different lingo.
He would get me there just the same way if I turned left at the gas station and whatever. It just was just two different ways of getting that info. So I'm very cognizant about being progressive with how I explain things as a coach, I think. And again, that's really more my mom than anything. Like, she would even say stuff that would grandfathered in these days would be like, what are you talking about? Well, she means perfectly well. She's just coming from, like, she's 75. So, her, even when she means well, something might sound offensive. Well, that's not the case. It's just like everybody getting up in arms about Undertaker and Joe Rogan. Like, like, and I mean, we can get into that or not, whatever. But I think he had everything great to say. I don't think he said anything wrong. I think when people leapt to certain things, they were leaping to, what's the right word I'm looking for? Like preconceptions. Like, I'm getting mad at what I think he said, as opposed to what he said. If that's good English.
I feel like a lot of people are looking for things to get upset about too. So they're trying to make it worse than it was. Yeah.
Sure. And I'm confident to know I'm not Mother Teresa. I'm not going to win the Nobel Peace Prize anytime soon, but I like to be nice.
Right.
So if somebody, and I knock on wood, I haven't had anybody ever give me grief about how I am. I like to try to be nice, but I at the same time, I say what I think. I try to be very cognizant on how you might perceive my words, how my dogs perceive my words. What are you guys arguing about? What's the problem? They're having a battle royal over there. What are you guys doing? It's chaos at the Bodie household. So.
Yes.
Well, can you shut the door so those mockingbirds don't wind up the dogs while I'm doing this podcast on the internet lasers? But yeah, that's kind of where my head is at. So, like, I think, like, again, Al Snow is a wrestler and a coach and a friend that I really respect. And he's got a great quote that I'm responsible for what I say, not for what you understand. Right. So if you're too green or too rigid or too introverted or too ignorant in the truest sense of the word, or you're too, wound up or uptight or whatever, or, whatever, to hear the advice. Like, it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's one of the coaches of coaches, been a top company in the world, been all around the world. So he probably knows some stuff. Yeah. And just because he might say some stuff in a grandfathered in kind of way, he's taking his time to give you invaluable knowledge. You can either be offended by it or you can learn by it. He's not saying anything I promise you, he doesn't care about any one certain person's feelings to be like, oh, did I upset that person? Or am I being useful to that person? Like, I'll tell you guys useful stuff. Take it and do with it what you will. Yeah. I'm a little bit more fluffier than that. I think I'm a little bit more Mrs. Doubtfire than that, where I do want you to hear what I'm saying, that it's for a good reason. If you don't, and again, knock on wood, I haven't had anybody ever squawk about that, where I've seen other people, oh, I can't believe they said this, or that coach said that, or this person said this, and you hurt my feelings. Like, there's no crying in baseball. Shut the F up. If you don't want to hear, like, if you're so entitled and so weak and so fragile that you can't take some advice in anything, wrestling or otherwise, what are you doing? Like, go home. Yeah. That's kind of how I look at it. But again, to preface all of that, I wrestle with bunnies and duckies strapped to my feet. So what the hell do I know?
I do want to say, before I ask you the next question, old fartness. I like that. That's a nice word there. Old fartness.
I understand that, actually.
I totally get it.
Well,
It's funny because when I was a kid and I would bowl up to my dad about something, and he would just kind of shake his head and just look at me and go, Nicholas, I cannot wait for you to grow up. I cannot wait for you to have a kid. You're going to look back and go, man, I was such a shithead to my dad. I'm like, "So, man, you know what you're talking about." And years later, I'm like, son of a gun.
Yeah.
That MFer was 110% right. What the
Yeah.
hell?
So I want to say, so we had you, obviously, people know that you were at SHW 24 last week, and you.
Great show, by the way. Southern Honor, wonderful show. So good.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. We were so happy to have you. But I wanted to ask you, you kind of cut a promo ahead of time leading up to it, talking about Sunny Days and how you guys were freaks of a feather. Where did that relationship come from? How did you meet Sunny Days? Where do you guys, like, how far back does that go?
So when I met him years ago, he was kind of like the young boy to DDP and Jake the Snake and a little bit for Scott Hall, I guess. He was always helping Dallas, and then Dallas helping Jake, then he would inadvertently be helping Jake. So he kind of helped Jake drive him around, babysit, whatever Jake needed to get himself back on the right track.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time that way. And then when I would go visit Jake, because Jake is like one of my absolute best pals ever. He was my idol as a kid. He was my opponent when I first got into wrestling. He's been a mentor. He's been a road brother, and he's a totally true friend. Like, he's family to me. And so I would go and visit him, and Dylan would always be there, just helping Jake. And he's just Jake is a class clown in the sense that he's always on. He's like, yeah, brother, look at this guy, brother. And he's just always being silly. I think that's what he expects people to expect. But really, he's a sweet guy. If you were to, or if Dylan Sunny Days was to ever be like, quit joking with me, I don't like that, I'm upset, I'm offended, I guarantee you, Jake would switch gears so quickly and be like, I'm sorry, but I was just playing, just trying to get he would be so sensitive and be so upset that he hurt anybody's feelings. He's just trying to make people laugh. And of course, being his age, of course he's going to grandfather in humor that some young people, as my mom would say, he'll say stuff that will curl your toes. So you just have to sort of take it with a grain of salt, realizing he's just goofing around, being silly. I think if anything, anybody can learn anything from like the Undertaker Joe Rogan podcast or talking to Jake the Snake in passing for more than 10 seconds. Just realize, like, hear what they're saying and like why they're saying, not how they're saying it. Like, everybody is so sensitive. Like, like, I don't want to make fun or anything, but like, I swear, I'm surprised how some people don't just electrocute themselves with their phones, because I could just hear them like slurring, like, I can't believe he's so offensive. This spit from their slurry babiness is going to electrocute their phones. That's how sensitive they are. So I don't want to sound like a jerk. I'm just trying to be silly. But at the same time, like, take stuff with a grain of salt. Like, give me a break. And again, like, not like Al Snow, but another coach, Gangrel. Super sweet dude. Talented dude, one of the coolest entrances in wrestling history. And but as a pet peeve as a coach, if he tells you something, you're like, yeah, I know, you are going to light that 280 pound vampire up, because you don't freaking know, because if you do, I wouldn't have to freaking tell you, so shut your freaking mouth. And then the young guy's going to be like, holy crap, this is a very scary vampire getting very mad at me. And it's just like, because it's just a young mindset of like, yeah, we know everything.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of like the debate these days is the old school versus the new school. Ornery, crotchety old timers squawking and bitching about the young flippity floppity style, and then the young new school guys are going, well, what do these old timers know anyway? So I think it's a double poop on the way of communication. I think if the old school dudes led by example, and the young and the new school dudes, or guys, girls, everybody in between, were to take stuff with a grain of salt and let information come in and let it go both ways. Like, I consider myself old school and new school. I'm that bridge. I'm Jeet Kune Do. I'm in between. I'm water. I can morph. I can hit hard like water can hit hard, or I can wiggle through the cracks like water can wiggle through the cracks. I think keep an open mind. Always try to really hear, not just hear the words. Like, again, people were clinging to Undertaker's words. They were clinging to the letter of the law. They were not hearing the spirit of the law. So I think if we hear each other, and again, just because we don't use a dialect that is same, like, just go, okay, let's put common sense into play for 1 second. What does this mean? What is this person trying to tell me? you know.
Right.
So if you can hear that, then I think everybody, wrestling or otherwise, communication would just be so much better.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, we kind of touched on it for a second. You talked about coming to SHW. Well, being a part of that younger locker room, and you've been all over the place, but so what's that like coming to SHW specifically? Just kind of get your take on your experience while you were here, what you thought of the overall show, the overall production, just everything about it, and a little bit about that experience with that younger locker room.
Yeah. So weirdly, again, since we did the Snake Pit online stuff, so that's like a private group for wrestlers, wrestling students,
Okay.
bookers, promoters, anybody industry is in there. And I know that, uh, Busted Open Radio and Talk is Jericho and Something to Wrestle With and so forth, so forth. I know they talk about kayfabe openly and stuff, and I'm fine with that. It's okay, no problem. But I think we keep this page private because just I think they're talking more about storylines and this and that. But as far as the actual mechanics, sometimes as we're breaking down matches and whatever, I just kind of have it a little bit kayfabe just because, so that way, yeah, people know that we're pulling a rabbit out of a hat, but I don't want to show them exactly where the compartment is and the zipper is and the da-da-da and the gateway to another universe where we're keeping the rabbit in the hat. I want to kind of keep that a little bit esoteric. So on there, doling out knowledge and me, Dr. Tom, Al Snow, Tyson Dukes, Cody Diener, Rock Riddle, just tons of dudes get on there and coach. We did it ever since the pandemic, but really that page was just a student page that had about 30 people on it before the pandemic. Like, so the local students here in Vegas could know, all right, well, ring crew is here, flyering is here, class times is this, da 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 da. So I opened up that page to everybody industry, and there's about 3,000 people on there now.
Wow.
And again, it was to give knowledge the right way, but really more than anything, while we're all rats in cages, just crawling the walls, waiting for life to, be life again.
Yeah.
I just figured, and the other coaches figured, that we can help distract some of these people from crawling the walls.
Yeah.
So having said that, getting to a new show that I haven't been to before, like Southern Honor, it's very humbling to have people that I don't know come up to me like, "Hey, coach." I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Oh yeah, your lesson last week, or this, or when you did this match review, or this, oh, that was so helpful." And I'm like,
Aw.
"Wow, it's awesome!" Like, I get a lot of messages of just thank you, mess, not even asking questions. Like, I will have questions, or they'll say, "Hey, I heard what you're talking about this, about this topic. What do you think about this?" And they would, push me down a rabbit hole, which is I'm happy to go down with you.
Mm-hmm.
But just to have like, "Hey, thanks. That really got me through when I was crawling the walls." Like, I would look forward to every noon o'clock Pacific Coast time. I could trust that you'd be there to distract me.
Right.
And that was just super weirdly flattering. So I had a lot of guys come up to me from Southern Honor that were like that. And just like when they come up and say, "Hey, coach," they introduce them. They "Hey, I'm so-and-so. Nice to meet you, coach." Or "Nice to see you, coach." Or "Hey, coach, what do you think about this?" And I'm just like, still kind of blown away by it. And I got a lot of that at Southern Honor. And that was super cool. The dude I wrestled with, not to burst any bubbles and take you as Oz behind the curtain, but super polite. Like, "I'll do whatever you need, like, just want to learn, listen. I'm good to go." And great attitude. And he's a big dude. Man,
Towers, Austin Towers is somebody, and we've talked about it for, ever since he's been around. Potential, so much potential, and like I see great future for that guy. He's amazing.
And I, talked about a couple ideas, and we went out there and did it. We didn't map out a whole heck of a lot, really nothing at all, just a couple ideas, suggestions, and we worked to a finish. And all that means to whether it's wrestling fans listening or wrestlers listening, just means, like, again, there's no wrestling psychology. It's just psychology applied to wrestling. So, the fans, or us, we are all fans. I'm a super massive fan. We watch wrestling matches, even as in tuned as I am as a coach, as a wrestler, whatever. Still, I watch it just like I would watch a movie, just like you or any other fan would watch a movie. Is how they watch wrestling matches. Liked it, didn't like it, was engaged by it, wasn't engaged by it. There's no fans out there that ever go watch Star Wars and say, "Oh man, Luke Skywalker's the way he handled that lightsaber was totally garbage. He needs to learn how to work." Like nobody thinks like that. They either just go, "Yep, that was an awesome fight with Luke and Darth," or it's not their cup of tea, one or the other.
Yeah.
Same thing with wrestling matches. You know, you can see stuff that looks stacked and memorized, or you see stuff that looks like it's from the bootstraps and looks like it's fueled with fire and piss and vinegar. One or the other. You know, but fans, nobody can really put a finger on, well, why is this guy or girl's match more engaging or legitimate looking than this guy or girl's match? Like they don't think in those terms. They just think in the instinct of it. Like, yep, that was awesome, or nah, that was a shits, or whatever, you know. And so when wrestlers come up to you and ask you these questions, like it's your privilege and your obligation to give them the right knowledge. And then that way, you know, like I'm cool with, again, going back to all that old timey versus new school stuff. Like hearing those arguments just make me giggle. Like I think both are ridiculous. We're like, but DDT's a finisher. No, it's not. It's a cutoff. You know, it's just no big deal nowadays or whatever. Like it is whatever we make it into. So if you want to throw away a move, I don't care if it's a dive or a shooting star press or a hammerlock or a DDT. We throw it away and make it mean nothing. That's exactly what we did. If we make it look ominous and brutal and it's definitely a finisher, then that's what it is. And we can do that. We could throw away a dive and make that look like nothing. We could make a hammerlock look like it's the most brutalist thing in the world. Just how we want to put it over. So there's my argument to both the new school and old school. And having a lot of the guys at Southern Honor come up and say, hey, what'd you think about this? What was that? And when they ask me specifics, that lets me know they're not just grooming for a compliment, trying to get over. It means they actually want to learn something. They actually want to better themselves. And I don't have all the answers, but I have a few. And if I can help them, it's my pleasure. And when I explain it to them, hopefully I think, again, like my mom, they get that sort of Mrs. Doubtfire version of why and how and what. Like it's not a matter of what moves you're doing, it's how you do it, why you do it, where you do it, when you do it, and to whom you do it. And how you play it off. Like I would do something different with Tower than I would with Sunny Days, than I would with the next person and the next person. Like they're all different shapes and sizes, different characters, good guy or bad guy. The match scenario is different. Is this a 5-minute match? Is this a 35-minute match? Am I the little guy? Am I the big guy? Am I the good guy, the bad guy? Is this a feud that we're 6 months into some blood feud, or is this a cold match where we're just touching for the first time? You know, there's so many scenarios of how and why you put over different moves for whatever reason. And again, it's just really like good movie making or not good movie making in the form of a wrestling match or the form of a wrestling promo. Like if you just, in a wrestling promo, if you just grabbed a mic and started talking in cliches and catchphrases, that's Tinder. That's just wham bam, thank you, ma'am. There's no longevity to it. Just like when you just do the spots, but you don't sell them or put them over or work to them or set the table for them, that's Tinder. That's wham bam, thank you, man. What next? What have you done for me lately? What next? What next? What next? But if we have them emotionally invest in stories and we talk conversationally on that mic and really talking about that promo or the match, if they can go, this guy's he's up in there with this 7-foot dude, and this is how he feels about life when he's explaining himself on the microphone, kind of giving that promo is like a minute-long elevator pitch to people who do not know who I am. So if they go, oh shit, that's this guy, he means what he says, and or in the match, he means what he's doing, and vice versa, the bad guy, then that's not Tinder. That's a relationship. That's when they care about you, and that lasts a long time. To use a word from Jake the Snake, is credibility. You build that rapport, that credibility will last. But if it's just wham bam, thank you, man. And again, that's not a knock on high spots. Do all the cool high spots you want. Just put the right emotional weight on those things. Like get the right emotional response out of it. And that's sort of where I feel about wrestling and telling these stories. And all the young guys and girls that I talked to at Southern Honor, they were all about that. And I don't ever just walk up to dudes and, hey, you know what you should have done, kid? I don't do that. Like, you come up to me and you say, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, could you watch my match? And then afterwards, hey, what do you think about this? If I did this, should I have done more of this? Or I was thinking I could have done this. Then I'm happy to go down those rabbit holes with you. But otherwise, I'm going to mind my business. Why? I don't want to be some know-it-all. Who wants to hear that guy? But if you want to hear something that will be useful to you, and if I know something that will be useful to you, I'm happy to share it. And that whole locker room had that great attitude. They were all like that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Awesome. Awesome. You are an absolute wealth of knowledge. Like I could just sit here. I'm just sitting back listening to you. Just
This is great.
this is amazing. But
Shucks.
but the thing is like I know like you've got some students to go coach coming up here shortly, don't you? So I don't want to hold you up too long, but I just want to thank you for your time and coming on with us. And we were happy to have you last Friday, and hopefully we'll see you again down the road sometime.
Yeah, I hope whoever's listening, if you guys enjoyed it, I'll shamelessly say, bug the crap out of that little jerk Sunny Days and tell him to bring me back, and I would love to do that. It was a great show. It was a super cool show. I love, and to go back and to give you a quick answer for a change. You asked me what about the show and the production and the workers and all that jazz. I thought the production looked great. I thought the fans were great. I did not come out and meet and greet with the fans like I usually do because Sunny Days wanted me to hold off until my entrance. He's like, you have such a crazy entrance. I don't want to cheapen that with you going out and, doing the meet and greet stuff. Because I'm super cool to like, I'm chatty Cathy, as you can obviously see. So I'm down to like talk with people. I'm not above the fans. I am a fan. So I love talking to the fans. I really, truly do. But he was just like, I want to keep you very, very bizarre and sort of unearthly when you come to the ring, at least for the first time. So
it worked because it
absolutely worked.
I'll say from your promo, I mean, and I told the guys before, I said, you weirded me out so bad from that promo. I was like, oh God, I don't know what I'm going to do when he comes out. So when I got to talk to you before the show backstage, it really eased me a little bit, but I still wasn't expecting you to be as weird as you were when you came out, but it was awesome.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Well, you talked,
but cutting the promo, like again, like Jake 101, like I have to cut the best promo. I just have to feel what I'm saying. And again, if I'm just talking about, cliches and catchphrases, like if you ever notice, wrestlers will say something cool, something cool, something cool. Then they go, and they do this really silly forced giggle. And then they're like, and the writing's on the wall, or they'll drop some weird, silly cliches and talking catchphrases. Like that's not how people talk. Like supervillains from the 70s didn't even talk like that, unless you're Dr. Evil and you're explaining how your plan is going to go.
Yeah.
You don't talk like that. So I would pick, especially as a bad guy or a good guy, especially as a bad guy. This is Jake 101 as well. You pick a lie, because bad guys lie, but you pick a piece of truth to stuff into that lie. So people go, I've heard that somewhere. Like that resonates with me. So is this guy telling me like what's really happening? It's all that smoke and mirrors and misdirect and stuff. But the lie is validated by the truth. So in some ways, what I was saying, in some ways, I really, truly feel that. Like, again, this is about wrestling and not about politics or religion or this or that. But I just think like, I don't care what color, red or blue, black or white, gay or straight, be a cool human. That's where I'm at. And if that's offensive to somebody, I don't care. Then get some thicker skin or leave me the F alone.
Right.
yeah.
That's how I feel. And if you don't want to hear what I say, then don't ask, and then that'll be just fine. But I think having an open dialogue, if two people can talk, discuss, debate, argue, but it's two ways, then something will get accomplished. But I think if only one side of that conversation is willing to listen, well, that is not a conversation, argument, or a debate. That is an ultimatum, and who the hell wants that? Yeah. So I feel if I bring what I'm thinking in my heart of hearts into a promo or in a match, as silly as I might do some stuff in a match, or even in a promo when I'm doing like the twitchy stuff and all that jazz, that's part of the lie. Like I don't twitch in real life. But my character is just feeling like, okay, like I'm a legit circus guy. I wasn't just some a-hole that went to the mall and got his face painted. Like I'm a legit circus dude. But the story of like talking to Tower or talking to whomever I'm discussing, I have to find a part of me to kind of sink my teeth into it. Then it sounds like, okay.
Believable. It was very believable, because I'm telling you, you took me out so bad. I didn't want to see you.
We were all nervous.
I don't want to see you.
So creeped out.
I get it. Yeah.
But you're so cool, and I do appreciate you being cool and being real.
I appreciate it.
That is awesome.
Thank you very much. Well, I think too, and it's okay to let yourself get comfortable as wrestlers out there. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Let people get under your skin. let the good guys and let the fans get under your skin. Let them have that fun. That's the bad guy's cross to bear. You know, you think Bobby Heenan ever gave a crap for real life when they called him the weasel instead of the brain? He facilitated that.
Yeah.
You know, to let all the people out there who spent their hard-earned money to see those shows cheer and boo and just expend all that energy and that escape from real life. Ah, you suck, I hate you, I love you, whatever they're wanting to. It's like a giant, massive couch session where they're just venting. You can't yell at your boss, your kid, your wife, your husband, your in-laws, your subordinates, your whomever, but you can't at a wrestling show. That's where you can just, you suck, I hate you, I love you, yay, John Cena, boo, John Cena, whatever. You can let it all out. And that's our jobs. So like our jobs maybe we can let you go on this sort of this psychological high note, I suppose. It's our jobs to, as let's just say I'm the bad guy, which weirdly, I'm 9 out of 10 times these days a good guy, which maybe speaks to the planet. I don't know. Dila would always giggle, like, why the guy looks like John Wayne Gacy, the fucking good guy? You know?
Right.
I'm like, oh, welcome to planet Earth. What do you want? You know? But like, the good guy doesn't get over and the bad guy doesn't get heat. If everybody's doing what they're out there to do, the good guy gets the bad guy's heat. The bad guy gets the good guy over. It takes two to tango. It takes Luke and Darth. Now, if that is done, then that being done gets done what we are supposed to do. And what we are supposed to do is not get in the Hurricane Rana, not make the hammerlock look like a shoot, not make the dive thrown away. None of that. That makes no difference. Again, if the good guy gets the bad guy heat and the bad guy gets the good guy over, what the mission accomplished is smiles on faces. End of fucking story.
Right.
That is our job.
Well, there you go.
It's going to come out of my face hole is going to top that, so maybe I should take it home right there.
There it is. Absolutely.
Well, one last thing before we let you go. Social media. Where can people find you on social media?
CocoBeware.com. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Tugboatandearthquake.com. No, that's wrong too. It's Sin Bodhi is my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter. It's SINNBODHI. And that's where you'll see like wherever I'm going to be wrestling, where I'm coaching. I'll flog all my, my t-shirts. I'll kind of whore all my t-shirts and my little LJN toys that I refurbish these days for a couple bucks. All that kind of shenanigans. Like Nick has no
thumb wrestlers. Like remember the old thumb wrestlers that used to be in the 80s?
Yeah, we used to. Me and Edge and Christian, we grew up playing with those silly. We probably broke each other some couple of times playing with those. Growing up, yeah, we were more. We had those LJNs, which were like those rubber wrestlers.
I had plenty of those. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Edge, on a silly note, Edge is the biggest Hogan fan of all time.
Wow.
So if we were all little kids and we're playing, and if me or Christian had scuffed Hulk Hogan, Edge would get so upset. You put a scuff on Hulk Hogan, you asshole! We get so upset, so angry.
So good.
But yeah, all that stuff. Whether you want to, you have me do a private match review, whether you want to buy a little toy, whether you want to buy a T-shirt, whether you want to book me on a show or see me on a seminar or whatever. Social media, Sin Bodhi, Twitter, Facebook. And what am I missing? And Instagram. Super and awesome. My YouTube is Freak Show Wrestling.
Awesome.
Freak Show Wrestling on YouTube. Awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much. And it was a pleasure to see you last week and a pleasure to have you on the podcast with us. And we cannot wait, hopefully, to have you back sooner rather than later. So thanks again so much, Sin Bodhi.
Well, you tell that freak of a feather Sunday days to get out that pencil and scribble my name down next to somebody on that deal. And then
we'll do.
Southern Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys have a wonderful night, and I will sign off the same way I do on Snake Pit. Everybody out there, be safe, be smart, and be kind.
All right, guys, that was the Warlord of Weird, who happens to be a pretty nice guy at the end of the day. Sin Bodhi dropping all sorts of pearls of wisdom. And I love the line when he said there's no such thing as wrestling psychology, but there's psychology applied to wrestling. Right. Super true. Amazing stuff. Shout out to Sin Bodhi. Thanks for joining us here on the SHW podcast.
He's the coolest, man.
He was so cool. And I got to tell you, I mean, I know we get a lot of fans, SHW fans that watch our podcast. And I'm sure we get some wrestlers too, some from SHW, some from other promotions, some from all over the country. But I feel like this is a great one for wrestlers to watch or
Absolutely.
listen to,
definitely.
because he was really spilling so much knowledge
Yeah.
that I felt like we were getting a free class. Like I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I
should-
would definitely be like, put
I
this
was-
in your library to go back and
Yeah.
reference and to go back to and
Mhm.
just get those little tidbits, because he had, oh my God, it was like he was overflowing
Yeah.
with things to teach, and he just wanted to teach, and
yeah.
that's just
And-
awesome.
And I felt like we should be paying him or something. And I was like, oh man, are we going to get
It was
charged for
great.
this? 'Cause this
Right.
is-
Right.
But man, what a great guest and just a great guy. And yeah, hopefully you heard us say it to him. Like, hopefully we'll have him back at SHW sometime
Yeah.
soon. But
Mhm.
I don't know what to expect next time.
yeah. Well, I'll be a little more prepared for like I told him. I don't know if we said this out there, or maybe I said it during the interview. But I didn't know. I was like, is he about to kiss me? Like, what's about to happen?
I didn't know what was going to
Totally
happen.
expected to see his tongue just run up my face, and I was just
Yeah.
already great. Like,
I was so scared because he locked eyes with me, and I was like, "Oh no!"
After he had been talking
Oh.
to the pig head in
Right.
his hand, and he was like talking, they were having a conversation, and then he like locked eyes with GB, and I
I
thought,
was like, "Oh,
well, here was my thought, because GB already had a situation with Ali earlier in the night where
Mhm.
he was none too pleased with me for not sticking up for him, and I thought if Sin goes after GB,
it's over."
then I'm really in trouble, because I already didn't help him out earlier, and I just was like, so then when he came at me, I thought, okay, all right, do what you got to do, take me,
Right.
take me, take me, spare GB and take me. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
GB's been through enough.
Been traumatized enough for one night.
Oh, again, we talked about it at the top of the show tonight, but if you weren't there last Friday, and you don't know
Go
what we're talking
back.
about, watch it on IWTV. You'll get all caught up. And by the way, next month it's March 5th. It'll be here before you
Mhm.
know it. That's going to be
It will be.
SHW 25, and just like we've done since we came back from the pandemic, tickets will be on sale the night of the show at 5 p.m. bell time, or doors open 7, bell time at 8. And anyways, we'll have a couple more episodes of this show before we get to that show to kind of pump that one up. But anyways, I think it's going to do it for this episode of SHW. This is our wrestling. What a cool guest that we had tonight. And I guess it's going to do it, guys. So until next time, GB, this has been SHW.
This is our wrestling.